Hi guys, so the last few classes we've been learning about mean, median, mode, and range. So today we're actually going to learn about something new called the mean absolute deviation, or the MAD. So we're actually going to be working out of our textbook essentially today. I know we haven't seen our textbook in almost 2 months now, but we're going to take a look. And believe it or not, I've actually gotten really good at this because this is my second time recording the same exact video. I didn't want to record the first time after I finished, so hopefully it'll record this time. Let's take a look. Okay, so today we're going to take a look at a lesson called Which Team is Most Successful, using the MAD to compare samples. So let's take a look at our problem here. It says a middle school's hiking club holds a fundraiser each spring. The club sells granola bars and package of trail mix. The 35 club members form 6 fundraising teams. Each team is a sample of students from the club. The most successful team receives a prize. The faculty advisor posts the money the teams raised on the bulletin board. So here we actually have the 6 different teams, and we want to know which team is the most successful and deserves to win the prize. Okay, so we have 6 different teams with each of the amounts that each team member raised. Now my daughter's here to help.
Hi.
Say hi. She was actually here for the first video too. So we want to know which team is most successful and deserves to win the prize. So do you want to take a guess, Liana? Which team do you think out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 if you had to guess? Any guess?
Team 6.
You think team 6?
Yes.
I don't know. Let's take a look, okay? So we're going to learn the mean absolute deviation today. So let's see what that stands for, okay? So the mean absolute deviation is actually pretty simple, okay? So if you take a look, let's break down this name. So we have the mean. Who remembers what mean means? So mean is the average, okay? Then we have the word absolute. Where have we heard that word absolute before? Any idea, Liana?
No, except in absolutely.
Absolutely? True. So absolute we actually learned about at the beginning of the year called absolute value, which means the distance from 0. Okay, and then we're going to be working with the deviation today. So it actually has 3 different steps. So step 1 is to find the average. Step 2 is to find the difference between the average and each number. And step 3 is to average these numbers. Okay, so and that'll give us the MAD. So if you were going to guess which team, okay, did the best, what do you think you would do? Well, my first guess would be to probably find out how much each team raised. So let's take a look at how much each team raised. So here we have team 1, and if we add up, let's add up how much team 1 raised. So if we add up how much each team raised, any idea, Liana, how much each team raised?
I know 45 plus 43 equals 88.
It does equal 88. Good job. So if you add up all that, you know what, Liana? When you get 7th grade, you'll get to use calculators like my school. No, she's adding up the numbers in her head. So if we add up, you keep going. So if we add up all of these numbers, we find that team 1 raised $210. Okay, what about team 2? Let's add up all of team 2. 50, 50, 35, 25, 25, 25. They also raised $210. Okay, let's take a look at adding up team 3. 100 plus 45 plus 20 plus 20. 15 plus 10 is 210. Noticing a pattern. What do we think team 4 is going to raise? Okay, team 4, 70 plus 63 plus 50, 17 and 10 is once again 210 again. Any idea what team 5 is going to raise? You notice a pattern going on?
Yeah.
Yeah, what do you think?
I think it's going to be 210.
210?
Yeah.
64 plus 50 plus 42, 30 plus 24 is 210. That is correct. What about team 6? We could add up all of team 6 and we're still at 210. So each team raised $210. So we don't know which team's the most successful yet. They each raise a total amount of the same money. So let's see how we could find the MAD, which would kind of tell us a little bit more as to which team should win. So let me put the steps right under here. And I'm going to zoom out a little bit so we could see. Okay, so, oops, sorry, I'm just going to move this up. Okay, so let's see. So step 1 is to find the average. So we could see here that they had $210 raised, and we want to divide it by how many students were. So we have how many numbers you see here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and
6.
6 numbers. So we could do 210 divided by 6. Move it down a little bit. Let's zoom in, which would be 35 in this case. Now to find, so we did step 1. Okay, now step 2 is find the difference between the average and each number. Okay, now you'll notice this, it does not matter if it's positive or negative, so that's just because it's the absolute value. So what I do is I make a little chart. So let's take a look. I'm going to make a little chart writing down each number. Okay, so we have 45, 43, 35, 33, 29, and 25. Okay, those are the numbers that we have from team 1. So we want to find the difference between those numbers and the average. So our average was 35. Okay, that was our average. So let's find the difference between those numbers. Essentially, we're subtracting. So 45 minus 35 is 10. 43 minus 35 is 8. 35 and 35 is 0. The difference between 33 and 35 is 2. Remember, it doesn't matter positive or negative. We're just subtracting. 35 minus 29 is 6. And 35 minus 25 is 10. Okay? So now we found the difference between each ones. And last step is to average these two numbers. So let's add up each of these numbers. So we have 10 plus 8 plus 0 plus 2 plus 6 plus 10. That's equal to 36. And there's 6 numbers. That 0 counts. So 36 divided by 6 would be 6. So that means our mean absolute deviation for team 1 would be 6. Okay, let's take a look at team 2. Okay, let's try and find the mean absolute deviation. Let me move it over. Oops, sorry. Of team 2. So step 1 is to find the average. So like we said, we added up all of them. We got 210. And we want to divide it by the 6 students. So once again, 210 divided by 6 is once again 35. Okay, so we have each of the numbers here. So we have 50, we have 50, we have 35, we have 25, 25, and 25. Each of those numbers. Our average is once again 35. So let's see what the difference between each number and the average is. So 50 minus 35 is 15. Once again, 15. 35 and 35 is 0. 35 and 25 is 10. 35 and 25 is another 10, and another 10. So if we add all of those up, we should get 60, and 60 divided by 6 would be 10. So this has a mean absolute deviation of 10. Okay, let's take a look at one more together, then I'll have you try some on your own. Here's team 3. Okay, so team 3, we have the numbers 100, 45, 20, 20, 15, and 10. These numbers seem a little bit more spread out because one team member earned $100 while another earned $10. Let's see if that affects it at all. So we know here our average was 35. I'm writing my average underneath, and we'll find the distance between each number and the average. So 100 minus 35 would be 65. 45 and 35 will be 10. We're subtracting. 35 minus 20 is 15. 35 minus 20 is 15. 35 minus 15 is 20. 35 minus 10 is 25. So when I add up each of those numbers, I get 150. So 150 divided by 6 would be 25. So that means our MAD, oops, I forgot to write that in the average there. Okay, the MAD is 25. Isn't that crazy? So here we have a MAD of 6, we have a MAD of 10, and we have a MAD of 25. Now you'll notice this MAD is higher. Anyone have an idea why that may be? It kind of goes with along the lines over, is each member pulling its own weight essentially? So raise your hand if you've ever been in a group where one team member does all of the work and another team member does nothing, but everyone still gets the credit for it. If you can't see, I'm raising my hand. That happened to me when I was in school too, which is kind of like what happened to Team 3 here. That one member earned $100 while the other one earned 10, which really wasn't fair. So therefore, the team members were far from their average. Okay, now I'm gonna have you try some on your own. Excuse me. So why don't you try and find the MAD of Team 4? Okay, so let's see what we should do. So we want to find the average first. So we could do 210 divided by 6 again, which would be 35. Okay, so let's see the distance between the average and each number. So I'm going to write out each number, 17, 10, and 0, and find the distance to the average, which was 35. Writing and writing and writing 35. Now let's see how many numbers there are between 35 and, oops, just gonna move it over. Sorry, my paper just got caught, that's okay. 35 in each number, because my pencil broke. So let's see, 70 minus 35 is 35. 63 minus 35 is 28. 50 and 35 is 15. 35 and 17 is 18. 35 and 10 is 25. And 35 minus 0 is also 35. So when I add those up, I get 156, and there's 6 of those numbers. So that is a MAD of 26. Oops, went out of the lines there. I'm sorry. There you go. So that is a MAD of 26. Okay, that's our highest MAD we have yet, because if you notice, one team member earned $70, while another team member earned 0. Okay, that person just didn't feel like putting in any work, which really isn't fair. What about Team 5? What would the MAD for Team 5 be? Okay, so now be careful. The average for Team 5 is a little different. So they raised $210, but there's only 5 students there. So 210 divided by 5 would have an average of 42. Okay, a little different. So let's see. So we had the numbers. Oops, I'm going to put this there. 64, 50, 42, 30, and 24. Okay, so let's find the distance to the average, which was 42. So that one's a little different, so just be careful. Okay, 42. So let's subtract those. 64 minus 42 is 22. 50 to 42 is 8. 42 to 42 is 0. 42 minus 30 is 12. And 24 from 42 would be 18. So when I add up all that, I got 60 divided by 5, which would be a MAD of 12. Your MAD should be 12. Okay? What do you think the MAD of Team 6 would be? Okay, first step, we want to find the average. So we do 210, we're back to 6 students. 210 divided by 6 is an average of 35. So let's write out each number. So we have 50, we have 35, 35, 35, 35, and 20. Okay, so let's see the distance to our average of 35 there. These numbers look much closer together. Let's see if this affects it at all. So let's see, 50 minus 35 is 15. 35 minus 35 is 0. Oh, more zeros. 0 and 0. 35 minus 20 is 15. So if we add that up, we have 30. And 30 divided by 6 would be a MAD of 5. Okay? So which team do you think deserves the prize? Okay, so we had Team 1, which had a MAD of 6. Team 2, which had a MAD of 10. Team 3, which had a MAD of 25. Team 4, which had a MAD of 26. Team 5, which had a MAD of 12. Or Team 6, which had a MAD of 5. Which team do you think deserves the prize? You're right, it actually is Team 6. And the reason Team 6 deserves the prize is because they have the smallest MAD. That means that each team member was close to the average. Their average was 35, and each of them came pretty close. Each of them essentially pulled their own weight, which meant they were close to the average. They each did almost an equal amount of work. So the smaller the MAD, the better the chances. Okay, so I hope that makes a little bit more sense, and we're going to look at it the next class also. So good job.